when they've gone for 80 carries first. And interestingly enough, both Kalista and Sivir have been banned away.
And when we talk about Xiaogu having that big priority on blue side, it was because of it, out of 11 games, they had first picked either Sivir or Kalista more than half of them. So there goes those two champions, and immediately they insta-lock Victor.
Yeah, they go back to Doinby on that control mage carry. Now, Cassiopeia was still open, so too was Azir, but he goes straight into that Victor. And you know, it's really exciting to talk about Doinby. He's been a utility mid laner. He's played Morgana. He's played Lulu. But now he's got this Kassadin. Now he's got Azir. Now he's got
LeBlanc.
Cassiopeia, LeBlanc, and even now Victor. It's very exciting to see. And Rookie, he's going to have his work cut out for him. As you just saw Zatai scrolling through, he might decide to settle on it. Yeah, it's Azir and Gragas.
Would you like to hear Cacao's Gragas stats?
Tell me some of them.
They're absurd. They are 13-2.
Wow.
There was a reason why Gragas was permanently banned against Invictus Gaming. Cacao should never be allowed to have this champion. That is an 87 win rate on Gragas.
Not 87 out of 100, but 87%.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely enormous. And the immediate response from Xiaogu, instead of prioritizing that bottom lane as we've seen from them do more often than not on blue side, they're going for the mid. They're going for the jungle. And what could be
possibly the top.
Back on the top. Like we saw last time, Gnar was open, but he decided to switch away from it. And it looks like it's going to be Swift on Nidalee. And there's the support. Annie locked in for TCT again.
Had a great showing on that last time. Last game, though, Alistair was also taken off the board, so we'll see if Kitties goes back to his... Excuse me, Alistair. Thresh was also taken off the board. We'll see if Kitties goes back to his Thresh. It used to be something that was permanently banned against him, I believe, last year. Kid showing Tristana.
Yeah.
Also a big champion for him.
I like the Tristana, especially seeing the Nidalee who can toss a spear, get onto the backline. Annie who's going to flash, get onto the backline.
As a
Victor.
Reset option?
Exactly. It's the sort of thing that can keep Kid away, and it sort of caters to his playstyle as well. But instead, he's going to start looking towards the Corki, which fills a similar role for him.
Likewise, again, if we're talking about his signature champions and kind of the legacy Kid player, it's always going to be Ezreal, but Corki's a very close second. He's very comfortable with that champion. He understands it. It fits to his playstyle. Again, if you think that Kid and Kitties, in the context of Invictus Gaming, if Invictus Gaming is constantly playing to the top side of the map because they're just very strong, very coordinated on that top side, and they just leave their bot lane to its own devices, they run by, pick them up when they're ready to 5v5, Corki's going to be fine, you know, either farming from afar or controlling the wave with his phosphorus bomb.
Yeah, we'll see how he's going to do, as it looks like TNT is going to match up with that on a Caitlyn, and V, interestingly enough, going to be headed towards a Maokai, but at the last second, TNT swaps it over for a Lucian to deal with the Corki.
Ooh, okay. We got an all-in murder bot lane. I want to see this 2v2.
Well, do you think IG are going to go for it? Because you've already got the Nautilus locked in. That could go to Kitties or Zatai.
I think Zatai is going to pick up Shen or Gnar here.
Yes, Shen is still available, and he would either have to go against V's Maokai or the murder train Lucian Annie if there is a lane swap out of IG. But right now, it looks like Zatai is looking at Trundle. We'll see if he decides to swap it over at the last second. But, oh, interesting.
Swimmingly.
Fizz being hovered over, and
locked in.
There it is.
I got you.
Gotta let it hang.
So he goes for the fish. Now, Zatai was one of the first guys to pull up the Cinder Hulk Fizz build. We'll see if he goes back to that. Doesn't have the Smite equipped just yet. Still has the Flash Teleport. Typically, when you take Fizz into a tank, you are just a major pain as far as a split push.
Yeah, and that sort of fills the same thing that Zatai did in the previous game, just being a nuisance to V all the time, harassing, trading effectively, shoving the turret, and then when necessary, joining up with the rest of his team to make plays happen.
The big difference, however, though, is that Fizz is not going to be a reliable frontline or a tank. He has superficial tankiness, but only really in the 1v1 because of his playful trickster and how much airtime he can get with that, especially if he itemizes into CDR. Whereas Shin, again, is going to be more about that CC tanking, creating a frontline barrier for his team. So the split push elements are very similar, but the team fighting elements are vastly different.
We'll have to keep an eye on if Zatai is able to maintain that effectiveness that netted him MVP as we're running through the rosters. Again, this is Xiaogu versus IG. IG took game number 1 after a very close 40-some-odd minute game with Xiaogu, and despite being 10,000 gold behind, Xiaogu were still able to fight effectively and almost win themselves. This time, they've got a much scarier murder composition that not only fits Xiaogu's playstyle more, but looks like they might be in a more aggressive position this time around.
And again, Xiaogu have never drawn. They either, or excuse me, they've never lost. They either draw or they win. Invictus Gaming either win or they lose.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see if IG are going to be the ones who finally put an end to the non-losing streak of Xiaogu, or if Xiaogu are able to maintain it, because they are a top-tier team. Second in the standings right now, 1 point behind EDG. They could definitely use this win.
Yeah, definitely, especially because EDG and Xiaogu, both of them only play one match. We talked about, how OMG, Snake, and Masters 3 are kind of the 3 teams to watch this weekend, whereas EDG and Xiaogu are really going to stay very
close to each other.
Yeah, what's the word? Stagnant on the standings, if you will. So Xiaogu can't really afford to lose here.
Well, that's the big question as we load onto the Rift for game number 2. And we're on the Rift. It's Xiaogu and Invictus Gaming for game number 2. Week number 7, day number 2.
Week 7, day 2, game 3 of set 2.
Set 3, game 2. Good try. But again, it's Xiaogu and Invictus Gaming. Very different team comp out of Xiaogu as they return to something that has worked for them in the past. Good old-fashioned murder train.
That said, a lot of cover picks also coming out for Invictus Gaming. We talked about Qiao, Gragas. You never let them have that champion. I always feel like they forget time, and enough time goes by where Gragas isn't banned against Invictus Gaming, and then Qiao plays it once, and then it's like, oh, thanks for the refresher, perma-banned.
Thanks for the reminder, but doesn't seem like Xiaogu forgot, knew about it this time.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely see, because there is Swift on Nidalee. If anyone is going to be able to go for the invade, steal camp, catch Gragas while he's out of buff, it's going to be Swift, and on any champion but Nidalee. Do
you want to know his Nidalee record?
Throw him at me.
It's not good.
Oh. I was trying to throw him a bone here.
It's okay.
So I guess that's the big question. Here's V. He's going to find Qiao as he starts off. Interestingly enough, the duo looks like it's going for a split. And V, he's actually going to be able to steal the blue buff away while you've got Kitties on the other side of the map trying to answer with a steal of his own.
Kitties is 1v1ing the blue buff right now.
Yeah.
Nope. Oh, he's just sitting on it.
He's
holding it for Qiao, who is like...
He's Wild West style, staring the thing down.
Rushing over. So, okay. Swift did make use of the fact that Nidalee is incredibly powerful early game, because obviously she's bringing more abilities than any other champion, other than Jace, because she has her Cougar form, able to transform. Or Elise, there you go, the transforming champions. Transformers.
Or Gnar if you time it right.
No, we're done. And because of that, they're able to walk into the blue buff, just brute force it away, especially in this lane swap, since they have the numbers advantage on the top side of the map, since Invictus Gaming decided to engage it by sending Kid to the top lane, which now just forces Qiao to lose some of his valuable jungling time as he's forced to walk across the map. Not massive, but it definitely shows, Xiaogu, they understand when they're stronger and how to press it.
Going to be getting some aggression on the rookie in the mid lane. Take some punishment right on back. Even catching that minion as the AoE stacks up perfectly. Swift secures this red buff. V's not going to snag that away from him while Zatai actually clearing 2 camps in the jungle. He's at super low health.
He's going to die to a Krug.
Oh no, one more hit. He can't quite finish it off. The Krug. Oh, the Krug's trying to make up his mind. I've never been this far from home before.
And an immediate response, though, from Xiaogu. So, starting a very early dragon. Hit me, computer science major. What is their 5th dragon window?
33 minutes.
I'm going to trust you because I can't do math.
Well, 34-ish, give or take, depending on if they get the dragons on the timer. But that's math, and we don't really care about math because this is League of Legends.
No, it's very relevant. If they have an early 34-minute 5th dragon win condition.
But the question is, are they going to continue keeping the pressure with that? In all of the previous games that IG and Xiaogu have played, IG have almost always had superior control of that dragon.
Well, not this time. And again, making full use of the fact that they had the numbers advantage on the bottom side of the map, that they did have Nidalee, the fact that V stayed double jungle through the entire thing, whereas again, Zatai and Qiao split up to force that at just at 4-minute mark.
Yeah, so with that first dragon, Xiaogu are going to get to breathe a sigh of relief, and commit to these soft laning phases for the next 6 minutes, whereas IG, on the other hand, don't exactly have as much of an opportunity to trade it back. Now, you can see a bit of a CS discrepancy opening up between the two. It's 400 gold for Invictus Gaming. It's going to be opening up generally between those top laners, as V has been forced to follow Swift around.
Zatai is making a massive mistake here. He keeps trying to check. He's trying to jungle on his own as opposed to double jungling. Now notice how V and Swift haven't left each other's side right now. Now Zatai does have slightly more CS. They're jungle camp, so it means a little bit more. But he's wasting so much time spread out from Qiao as opposed to just staying with his jungler.
Yeah, this is now the second recall for Zatai, as he's going to head his way now down into the mid lane to try covering for Rookie. As Rookie's going down there too. Some deep wards from Qiao are going to spot it out. Zatai looks like he might finally head down to the bottom side.
He's just wandering aimlessly. This is the last 2 minutes. Zatai has yet to hit a creep.
Yeah, this is the guy who got MVP in the last game for an incredible Shen, but now he's like, what do I do?
He walks in the mid lane looking for a creep, and Rookie kills all of them. He's like, it's cool, guys. I'll just go top. He eventually finds his way back to Qiao. What an adventure.
Yeah, I know.
Zatai's magical journey through the forest. He placed a pink ward.
The Odyssey of Zatai. He finally catches up with Zatai and says, man, I had one heck of a trip. And now, nope. He's actually going to head back into the jungle. Look, he gets a direwolf. That's good for him.
He's still got the lead. 11 creeps to 9.
Yeah, but V has been joined up with Swift, as you mentioned.
It wouldn't be so good, but it's Fizz. And I love Fizz's walking animation because it just looks so bizarre. But it has now turned into a 4v0 split push on either side. Both of these towers should drop simultaneously. The AD carries doing a good job building up those waves, trying to deny as much CS as possible before they take them down, which is what TNT is doing.
Yeah, you can see some similar plays coming out of Invictus Gaming. Recalls from Kid and Kitties as they look to head back to the bottom. It's Zatai finally finds a lane to call his own on the top side. Well, if Qiao will get the heck out of there.
Oh, but TNT gets a very nice bounce and clear. So both these top laners finally have homes of their own.
Well, not quite yet for V. He's actually heading down to the bottom side, as it looks like Qiao are going to opt into another lane swap, send TNT and TCD to the top side.
They have dragon control, so why not? At this point, they have like you said, you have a 6-minute window of opportunity where they just need to focus on pushing down structures, since that's what they've decided to do. And again, you don't think of Lucian as a sieging champion, but I cannot stress this enough. Back when Ziggs was very popular, you would see teams immediately rotate Ziggs Lucian, and it told you that is going to be a siege comp. Lucian can shred through towers with his double tap on his passive.
Looks like TNT and TCT are headed up to that top side now. Zatai was able to get a little bit of breathing room for a minute and a half as he finally found that top lane. But
I don't know how he still has a CS lead over V.
It's impressive. V is now down at the bottom dealing with the duo of IG, though. Deep ward from Kitties is going to try to help covering out that mid lane from Rookie. Big wave building up on the bottom side.
He pings top, help me. There we go. Swift's going down to V to make sure that he can't get dove, and he gets to absorb all of that delicious CS where he quickly shores up this difference.
Oh man, evens it up perfectly. 20-20 now. Zatai is forced to sit under the turret where you've got a recall coming out of V. Swift gets to hold the wave on his own for a little bit. Things looking pretty good for Swift. He's got some time to catch up a little bit more in gold, going for the Fiendish Codex now while Qiao picks up his Bomby Cinder. We're 9 minutes into the game. Dragon's up in 1.5.
Qiao is also likewise going to be caught up helping Zatai here. As
oh my gosh.
He may be Fizz, but that is still incredibly dangerous to be on a tower, especially because TNT has his ultimate available. Likewise, Annie, stun, and CC. See if they can get Saving Private Fizz back to his tower. Teleport.
Teleport coming out. It looks like Qiao might try to turn this.
Rude.
V once again just wants to shut down Zatai as much as possible. Qiao playing some serious cerebral games right here. If the guy got MVP in game number 1, well, we'll just stop him from getting anything at all in game number 2.
But this is pretty telegraphed. Typically when you see a Fizz, you want to lane swap it just to slow it down. I mean, that said, Invictus Gaming were the ones to opt into the lane swap, so Zatai obviously thought that he could handle this, but again, I have to point back to the mistake of not staying with his jungle and attempting to jungle solo by himself, losing a lot of time, almost dying to Krugs, having to walk across the map. He's visited every corner of this map.
Yes, he has. Been to Mordor and back that guy, but unfortunately still hasn't found his way to the Shire just yet. It looks like Qiao are going to start invading once again as they head to the top lane. They've got 5 members on the tier 2, and there's no response from IG.
No one there to stop them, and the pushing potential of Lucian and Nidalee is absolutely absurd. Now, Kid here is going to get some decent damage onto this tower, but it is nowhere near the same threat as 4 members on your top side.
Yeah, so that's the trade-off. Qiao taking 3 turrets within 10 minutes in the game. IG only managing to take 2. And one of those turrets was a tier 2. Finally, Zatai is going to be able to start clearing out some minion waves, but he's still got to be careful just because Qiao could look for something fancy.
And it sacrifices a ton of their map control. Now, IG technically still have an advantage on the bottom side of the map. No, it's actually evened up because both bottom tier towers are down, which is why they're trying to move onto this dragon. But Qiao are quickly organizing themselves towards that pit.
Yeah, they are trying to get there as quick as possible. However, they're just a little bit late. IG looks like they're going to burn through this dragon before Qiao can make it in time. That is going to deny that potential of an early 5th dragon for Qiao, and even a rocket coming out from Kid, they managed to secure it.
That's really unfortunate. I actually feel like Qiao, if they had been a little bit more decisive and a little faster on the ball, that they could have gotten that objective relatively easily, especially because Zatai is prioritized with his farm up top, or at least force out the teleport to punish him even further. So bit of indecision right there, and it's not as effective as they could be. That said, Invictus Gaming, great job finding something on the map.
Yeah, they were finally able to secure that. They're 1,000 gold down right now. That is the exact manifestation of the top tier 2 turret in gold, as it's relatively even in CS all across the board. Doinby and Rookie just continuing to keep each other occupied while their teams do other things around the map. And TNT and Kid just continuing to farm it up. Though now it looks like we finally have both duos on the bottom side of the map. Zatai shoves the wave a little bit too far. V's going to catch all that juicy CS and catch right back up to Zatai, while TNT shoves on the other side of the map.
Should be noted, however, that Kid and Kitties do have both their ultimates available. The Quirky ultimate not going to mean as much, just because he's going to get more rotation through his rockets. But the Nautilus ultimate is fairly important when little Annie, TCT, does not have his, which is why you saw them just immediately push that Raven back.
Yeah, and it's creating an interesting discrepancy in overall experience. Kid, you can see, is still level 7, while TNT is level 8, so he does still maintain that experience advantage because TCT decided to cede some experience over. Now he's finally going to be able to catch up, but TNT, with the forward pressure, looks like he's going to start heading up to the mid lane. Doinby Recall's likely going to be headed on down to the bottom, while V mans the top, and Qiao are just playing the map right now, and IG seem to be falling for it.
And what I want to point out, especially because you brought up V into that top lane, is there is a CS discrepancy between them. It was 20 CS. You see that it's quickly shoring up, so don't be fooled. Each of these top laners, as the minion wave is pushed towards them, they're going to freeze, they're going to eat it all up. But you will see these windows of, 13 to 17 CS differences that will then be quickly eaten up as these massive waves just move across so much distance back into their hungry hands.
Interestingly enough, looks like Qiao are going to keep both Doinby and TNT in that mid lane, while IG looking very aggressive here with a 5-man group on that side of the map, getting a lot of deep wards, retreat pings coming out for V.
This is what's really dangerous about freezing right in front of your tower in LPL, is that they will never hesitate to look for a dive, but Qiao doing a great job making sure that TCT is setting up flanking wards and trying to discourage that.
Oh, Chaos Storm dropped onto Rookie to try shredding through his health, but he's able to outrun it as it gets further away from Doinby. And despite the fact that Qiao were the first to get into the mid lane, they're the ones who take more damage as IG respond with a very strong invade into Qiao's jungle.
It's fairly massive that the Chaos Storm was used as a waving mechanism.
Zoning tool.
So, yeah, okay. So with that ultimate down, they lose a lot of their kill pressure and their AoE damage, so unfortunately not able... Why? Oh, okay, it's the blue buff. I was like, why are they moving up into this area?
Qiao looking to steal it. Swift takes the buff, but takes a lot of damage on top of it. Kitties eats spear to the face while Rookie clears out that trap. And Qiao are just going to back away. once again.
Invictus Gaming can look for an engagement tool here just because someone has to respond to the bot wave. So if they want a numbers advantage on this tower or look for a strong siege, it needs to be done now while TNT is across map.
Looks like IG are trying to do exactly that. They're sending 4 members now into the mid lane to try getting some early pressure off, but the question is, do they have the wave clear to get onto the turret in time? Rookie eats another spear.
Massive damage on those spears.
Yeah. Swift going for the Magus. Again, this is 5-11, no Rune Glaive just yet, so getting a lot of raw stats.
Especially having the tier, so looking for that very late game poke-oriented power Nidalee build.
Oh, Swift does not, in fact, secure his blue buff. There goes the explosive cast from Qiao to force the disengage as IG steal away the blue buff, and all in all, it's a 1-for-1 trade in blue buffs.
That said, both of them went onto the jungler. Swift has IG's blue buff, and Qiao has
the other
Xiaogu's blue buff.
Xiaogu are going to take this red buff now. I'm not so certain on the timing of the other red buff on the other side of the map. We'll have to see if Qiao wants to try stealing it right back away when it spawns, or if it is going to be the advantage for Xiaogu. But mid lane, Xiaogu were able to knock down that mid-tier 1. That's now 4-2 in terms of turrets, and that's starting to open up a pretty solid gold lead for Xiaogu.
Yeah, and Invictus Gaming, again, kind of stumbling their way through their map rotations a little bit. Not just this game, but also last game, so I think after this tower, yeah, it's only going to be about a 2k gold discrepancy, but a little bit concerning that they're getting outmaneuvered like this.
Yeah, after game number 1 in which IG had control, suddenly it's Xiaogu who are setting the pace in this match. And so far, IG seem like they're keeping up reasonably well, if not falling further and further behind. But it's still a very even match. This next dragon's going to be up in 30 seconds. Both of the top laners have teleport. They've had time to go for some farm. It's a tie. That's a Magus.
This is the Flandre special that he did on Echo, I believe. And it has now translated onto Zatai's fish. Big thing that you're going to get from the Magus is going to be your CDR, which we talked about how that adds some nice, I call it pseudo-tankiness, because obviously you spend more time airborne on your Playful Trickster to negate damage, but really only in the 1v1 or duel scenario.
Oh, looks like there's a 4-man roam from Xiaogu. Teleport being used by Zatai. Whoop, he gets spotted by a sapling, but still is able to make it out of there. The rest of IG on the other side of the map immediately take advantage of this, collapse onto the dragon. They should be able to secure it without contest.
Small thing is that he decided to teleport back to his own tower as opposed to teleporting to the dragon to help his team, and all that really does is it saves him a minute of time on his teleport. Understanding that Xiaogu had committed so many resources top, there was no way that he would be needed to assist his team there, so just something a little bit cute.
IG, however, they're not done just yet. They're taking the first dragon, and with complete vision over that side of the jungle, they get a wave right onto the tier 2 turret. Kid has completed his Trinity Force. Let's see if he's able to burn through this thing's health in time, while Xiaogu are trying to make it there in time. The minion wave is just barely going to peter out. Righteous Glory used by V, but Kid's already out of there.
Great job getting as much damage as possible. We'll see where either of these teams play next. Obviously, again, without Dragon on the bottom side of the map, they can now play to the top side. That said, there's not a lot of options for Xiaogu up there. It's mostly going to be about this mid-tier tower.
Yeah, we'll see if they are able to crack it down. Now we're 18 minutes into the game. It's still very even after a very shaky laning phase in which Zatai was all over the map. Invictus Gaming managed to keep pace on Rookie. They managed to keep pace on Kid. In fact, Kid has a 20 CS lead. And now they're up 1 dragon despite Xiaogu's very early 4-minute dragon.
Yeah, but Xiaogu are still being far more proactive on how they're acting around the map, whereas I feel like Invictus Gaming have found their advantages on being reactive. We'll see if that continues, especially when we get more into these 5v5s, and we'll see if the this disjointedness that we saw from IG last game carried over into their second game against such crisp team fighting, especially because, again, Xiaogu were winning team fights from a 10k gold discrepancy. Now they have their own gold advantage, so that spells absolute terror for Invictus if they choose to to fight this 5v5. As far as compositions are concerned, I mean, naturally, because Swift is going for more of that damage-oriented late-game Nidalee build from the jungle, it's about laying down your poke before you follow it up with your insane hard engage that you have on Tibbers, Chaos Storm, things like that.
We'll have to see how it works out. Xiaogu sent 5 men to the bottom tier 2, but Zatai, despite not having teleport, split pushes on the other side of the map, builds up a really big wave. That's going to get some free damage onto the tier 2. However, it should be caught any second now by V as he's chugging his way to the top as quick as possible.
And look at how much gold Xiaogu has just expended on the top side of the map to not secure the dragon or the bottom tier tower. So you effectively have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 wards, 5 green wards and 2 pink wards. Well, let's just round, because again, math's not my thing. That's between 500, about 500 gold.
530.
Okay.
537.
There we go, 537. Gold worth of vision that didn't give them anything.
Oh,
so, yeah, you have to think that you're investing in your vision to get something back. So if you expend, 600 gold and you don't get a kill for the 300, or you don't get a tower, it's not worth it. So your gold lead is effectively being wasted.
Looks like Xiaogu are once again contesting the buff of Invictus Gaming. This is now the red, though the rest of IG are here. There's still no teleport just yet for Zatai. It's moments away from completion. Remember, we're 21 minutes into the game without a first blood. Kid actually managed to get the buff, as Swift had no smite, could not steal it. Qiao actually had it for backup, but trusted in Kid, and he's going to be rewarded with that.
They're being so patient dancing around each other. And I do like the fact that no one's died yet. That sounds weird because, again, we're in an Invictus Gaming game in China. But it really dispels the rumor that China is all about team fighting and just raw aggression. The thing that China does best right now is it understands how to trade on the map. When they're not strong, they have a great understanding of when they can fight and when they... like when the fights are equal or when they're ahead. And if they're not equal, if they're not ahead, if they can't fight, they're very good at sacrificing their map and trying to find the best possible trade objectively, which is what you're seeing both these teams do right now.
And it really creates a sort of cerebral mind game because neither of these teams are contesting, two teams are contesting each other. Begs the question of who is actually ahead. While there is about a 2,500 gold lead for Xiaogu, they were able to take that tier 2 in the top lane, which puts them just a bit ahead. It's the dragons in favor of IG, and speaking of which, that next dragon's going to be up in a minute. This could be an explosive fight if Xiaogu want to fight for it.
And we've got a lot of completed, very important items for both teams. Big thing is going to be Azir has the Nashor's Tooth as well as the Morello, so the CDR as well as the attack speed to empower his Sand Soldiers. Of course, the obvious one is Kid's Trinity Force is complete. But on the other side, TNT has the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv ready to go. So both of these teams are in perfect position to look for the big 5v5.
Wave built up on the bottom by V means that Kid's going to be forced to respond with it, while Zatai with his teleport looking like he might be setting up a slow push on the top side of the map. He does have that Crystalline Flask chugging away. 30 seconds before Dragon's up. IG are on top of the pit. They've secured that Scuttle Crab, but Xiaogu are ready and waiting. Recall out of Doin V is going to allow him to finish off that Abyssal and head his way back on over with those cooldown boots.
The distortion cooldown. Other big things to note are going to be the resistances build up by V, and it's going to be very important of how either of these two top laners will interact in this next big team fight, because again, Makai is going to be that true tank in front line, whereas Zatai is mostly there for split pushing and dual potential. So we'll see if Xiaogu decide to commit on this, if they'll keep Zatai top, sacrifice the dragon, and look for a structure trade, or if they're going to look for a big 5v5.
Seems like it might be a 5v5 as IG get onto the dragon. They're burning through its health. There comes the teleport from V. It's not answered just yet by Zatai. He's shoving. Here he comes in a bit late. The dragon secured by Xiaogu, and Cacao's forced to make it over the wall. V gets right into the back line. AoE is tossed left and right. Cacao forced to disengage Zatai. Not quite taking enough. Manages to land the fish, but he just doesn't have any follow-up damage. No one has died yet. 24 minutes in. One team fight, 4 dragons. Here comes the spear, and IG are running. The flank coming in from the side. Could this be the kill? IG are locked up so tight. There goes V. They're going to bring Kitty's low. There's the first blood. They stack it up perfectly, and IG are going to fall like a house of cards.
Oh, disaster has struck. Immediately, this game erupts into a 5-1. It is going to be an ace for just TNT on the side of Xiaogu. What a beautiful flank from TCT and Doinby to set that up. And unfortunately, Invictus Gaming crunched up, and they didn't even get the dragon.
Yeah, they didn't even get the dragon off of that. Finally, first blood secured. That did go over to Xiaogu. And with those kills and that first blood, they take not only the dragon, not only the blue buff, but they also secure for themselves a 4,000, 5,000 gold lead. Here's that flank.
And it's just at the very end of this. Now, Rookie has already done a great job using his Emperor's Divide to create space to get his team to this point, but they just stack, and it's just a beautiful cut corner from TCT and Doinby to set Xiaogu up for this massive snowball.
Yeah, just like that, you see some pretty scary items coming out from Xiaogu. Luden's Echo finished. Righteous Glory completed on V. TNT gets his Static Shiv. I mean, these are some big items.
Well, he already had the Static Shiv, but he upgraded his boots.
He did.
Yeah, so he's going places, walking fast. No, come on.
But again, IG, they're playing intelligently. They aren't seeding as many objectives.
That was, I actually think, a major mistake.
Yeah.
Especially as soon as Swift got into position and the teleport was late again. If we talk about how disjointed Invictus Gaming looked last game and how decisive they were being, are we diving the tower? Are we taking the tower? Are we taking the dragon? Are we fighting this? The fact that Zatai's teleport was late, and the question was, V is very clearly going to teleport to his team because that's where Maokai is strong, is in the big 5v5, utilizing his tanky front line. Fizz, you do not get that from. It's all about the split push. It's about the dual potential. They decided to pull Zatai late to the team fight as opposed to sacrificing the objective and trading it for a tower. And it punished them incredibly hard.
Yeah, suddenly things not looking as fantastic for IG, though they are not out of this just yet. You can see Kid looks like he's going for a Bloodthirster to try to keep himself a little bit more tanky when Swift starts chunking in those spears for poke. Find some damage onto Qiao with that Luden's Echo.
Well, he doesn't need the Blade of the Ruin King because he's not going through some super tanky members. I mean, effectively it's really only V, but they don't have a secondary tank. So you are absolutely correct in that eating a spear, having the Bloodthirster is going to give him more return and life stealing off of a camp or creep wave by going BT versus Pork. So.
Yeah, Xiaogu steal away the red buff. They've been contesting every single buff on IG side of the jungle since the game began, actually. And it really hasn't been doing that great for IG. No blue buffs for Rookie means he eventually runs out of mana. No red buffs for Kid means his poke doesn't stick quite effectively. And Xiaogu, they're going to be on the offensive now, trying to get some damage onto the next Tier 2 TNT. Eat some poke from Rookie, but get some solid hits onto the turret as he continues to poke it away. Kid takes a spear and gets chunked to half.
And this is where Xiaogu's composition is going to thrive, is in these sieging moments. Again, TNT being able to weave his passive and chip away at these towers, while Doinby and Swift just get to throw laser after spear.
Laser spears.
The laser spears.
Spears made out of lasers.
We do see Zatai sitting on the side looking for a possible flank. He immediately spotted out.
Just might be, but again, the ward spots him, takes a sapling to the face, V in the front line, continues to get some damage across, and with nothing else for Xiaogu to take, they're just going to try brute forcing this turret down. We'll have to see if they decide to go for a dive or not as they're continuing to chunk away with some excessive poke.
And again, we talked about how Xiaogu, publicly said that they're going to be experimenting, maturing their style. These champions, I mean, they're not too far out of their comfort zones, but Xiaogu were well known as being a 5v5 team. Now they're still team fighting excellently, but there's only 6 kills in this 28-minute game, so mission success?
Definitely a mission success. There's been one team fight this entire game.
Yep.
There's been one team fight in 28 minutes of a Xiaogu game.
Tell me more how China only knows how to team fight.
And just like that, systematically, they move on to the next one. Culling comes across for TNT for some additional poke as they slowly shred through the health of this one, much faster than previously. As Kid was not there to quite clear the wave in time, but he finally makes it. Xiaogu just step by step, objective by objective.
Clinically.
Yeah. Zatai's actually on the top side of the map right now.
They're just whittling away at these towers, using their siege composition, and Invictus Gaming, they effectively just need to pull the trigger, but because they lost the one team fight, they know that they need to look for a perfect opening. Xiaogu need to make a mistake that needs to be capitalized on. They can't just go into an even 5v5 setting. So either Kacao's looking for someone to be just slightly too far forward for a flash cask or an Azir sec or something like that, or they're waiting for Invictus, or excuse me, Xiaogu to get impatient and to dive the tower.
Zatai's actually caught out here. He hasn't teleported, but he goes down so fast. Swift almost gets burst, and the rest of IG try to force a fight, but it is not in their favor. 3 members go down. Kid forced to run away. Doinby dashing under the turret with the ghost. Flash stun finds Kid. Barrel is going to find Doinby. It's a triple kill for TNT. The next team fight also goes to Xiaogu.
We talked about how Invictus Gaming were waiting for Xiaogu to make a mistake. That said, IG, bite the bullet. Zatai's caught up onto the side, and that's the immediate go button that we're at a 4v5 advantage, dive the tower. And not only will they lose their second tier bot tower, but they'll also break the inhib.
Yeah, they break that inhibitor down. The only person who could defend was Qiao, but at low health he had to heal it up. And Xiaogu even managed to juggle the aggro well enough to take that without any minions and get out alive. Again, the blue buff stolen away from Rookie. This is going to be Dragon number 3 secured by Xiaogu as they take that one down. And all in all, Xiaogu are playing so exceptionally well.
Now the question will be, how are they going to play around the pressure points that they have? So there's an open inhibitor on the bottom side of the map. Swift, obviously very quick, very nimble, can get in there and try to push it down, or they can go as 5, or they can play with that pressure point and look towards this Baron buff.
Oh, there are pings going down on the Baron now, but TCT is in the area. There's a pink ward that's going to spot him out. I actually like how TCT is literally just standing by the Baron to make sure that's not a possibility.
The human ward.
Exactly, and it seems like Xiaogu, they knew that this was the only reproach, and they're already prepared.
It was really the only option, exactly, that Invictus Gaming had left to them, was a desperation Baron to try to take advantage of Xiaogu being out of position, backing and resetting the map after they had taken or broken the inhibitor line. So trying to rush that down, and you're absolutely right. TCT, he understood that, didn't have any wards on hand, so what's he do? He just, I'm a human ward, I'm standing here, please don't come here.
Yeah.
It's like when you're driving in the mall and there's like no parking spots, but you find one, but you just pass it, so you kick your passenger out to go lay in the parking spot, so you can go all the way back around.
I have never heard of that happening in my entire life. Also, why are you driving in the mall instead of around the mall? I imagine that's a much more pressing issue, but we'll get to that in a minute. IG looking like they might be caught out here. Ward goes over the wall just in time to see the red buff again taken away from Qiao. These poor guys cannot get a break, and Xiaogu, they have just been laying down so much heat that IG are melting.
Look at the difference between CS on Swift and Qiao alone. And we talked about how Qiao is really the guy who's very efficient in his jungle time. He's either massively farming up or making perfect ganks. And Swift almost double his CS.
Looks like Xiaogu set up some pressure onto the mid lane. This is going to buy time for V to split push in the bottom and get that wave prepared for that Bear inhibitor, though. IG seems like they're already wary to Xiaogu's tricks, dropping some forward wards to catch any sort of swings from Xiaogu to head over to that side. And again, IG have not been able to find that perfect opening. They've not been able to find that perfect engage. If anything, they were baited into a less than perfect engage prior, and that ended up hurting them when Zatai was caught
they
out.
flash
This
forward.
might be it, though. Doinby gets caught, takes a depth charge and a hook, but he goes down so fast, and Doinby, despite all of the efforts, is able to do so much damage. Xiaogu looking to turn this into a full fight. TCT goes down to Zatai, who gets onto the back line. That Magus is remarkably effective, but in the meanwhile, here's Rookie. He's trading it out with V, the 2 carries for IG, trying to stay alive. They are not successful. Snare goes down. He's going to be dropped, and Xiaogu trade 3 for another ace.
That was almost perfect for Invictus Gaming. Props to TCT right there. As soon as Qiao got in there to look for the cast to follow up on the displacement on top of Doinby to knock him further into his team, he immediately stun-locked him, and the cast was about 3 seconds too late.
Yeah, very, very close, and just like that, you now have 2 Bear inhibitors for IG on the map, and Xiaogu back away to safety. They are not taking any chances this game. They do not want to be too owed by IG and lose hold of that, I'm not going to say perfect, but nigh perfect record.
Well, it's the difference between 1 point and 0 points, so.
It is. And if Xiaogu end up winning this, they will in fact be tied for first with Edward Gaming, who will not get a chance to rebut that until next weekend.
No, they play tomorrow.
Oh, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
It's okay.
Xiaogu want to win. Even more incentive.
To win the game, they must destroy the Nexus. Thank you, John Madden.
Exactly. But yeah, we're 34 minutes in. Xiaogu have had complete control of this from minute 1, and IG are not looking any better.
And unfortunately, this has really come down to a 3-team fight game. And again, I just want to emphasize this. This is China. This is Invictus Gaming, historically one of the most aggressive teams to ever play in the LPL, completely re-identifying themselves.
Yeah, it seemed to have worked okay in game number 1 despite some slight communication humps, but this time IG, they're still stuck in the garage. They can't even get out onto the road to hit those bumps.
And it feels kind of like the same disjointed, indecisive maneuvers coming out of them. Yeah, again, I really want to give props again to TCT on that fantastic stun on top of Qiao to make sure that Doinby couldn't be cast immediately back into the enemy team. But it's not clicking. They're not going together. They're not the O, as I say.
This might be it. Doinby's caught out. He's going to be the primary target. Rookie knocks him into the team. The AoE stacks up beautifully, but Doinby's still alive. TCT finally going to drop with Swift, and it's going to be traded. Xiaogu once again. Clean house.
That was the best case scenario as a quadra kill is picked up by the massive AoE spread of Victor. But unfortunately, the gold disparity between these two teams is just too much, and that's what that team fight came down to. TNT sitting in the back line, untouched.
Yeah, one inhibitor is going to go down. The second one shortly follows it, even shoving the waves forward to try denying even more CS. Dragon 4's up in 30 seconds. We finally made it to our 4th team fight, 36 minutes into the game, but every single time it just looks better and better for Xiaogu.
Xiaogu have choked Invictus Gaming out of this match. They made the lane swap. They had the superior early rotations, taking the early dragons, things like that. And then just as soon as they understood that they were ahead or they prioritized the 5v5, moving in, challenging every blue bluff, every red bluff. They take the big 5v5 over the bottom side of the map on the dragon, immediately get that snowball, and then just start taking every single tower. Sieging up so patiently, not making any mistakes, not diving too prematurely.
And this is the scary thing that we're seeing out of Xiaogu, the team currently in 2nd place in the standings. That they're being so patient with this pressure that they know they have. They're not overextending. Like you said, they're not diving and making mistakes. Instead, they're continuing to wait for IG to slip up, which they inevitably have been. And slowly but surely, they grow closer and closer to victory. Now, Dragon's up, so too is Baron. TNT looks like he's going to be soloing this Dragon. That's number 4.
What, my red buff didn't kill it?
Calculated. Incorrect. But that's Dragon number 4 for Xiaogu. Even if IG managed to stall this out with a couple of successful team fights, they'll have the pressure of that Dragon. They'll have the pressure of these 2 down inhibitors. And now Baron looks to be the next fight for Xiaogu.
And Xiaogu almost won last game from a massive gold disparity. We asked in the early part of this game, you know, now that Xiaogu are on an even footing looking into the 5v5 section of this game, what does that mean for IG? And we have our answer. It means devastation, starvation. Yeah.
This is Xiaogu at the top of form right now, playing exceptionally well. IG again displaying some minor communication issues, and even when things look good for them, Xiaogu managed to turn it. Zatai once again splitting on the bottom side of the map to try to defend the Nexus as those 2 inhibitors continue to encroach with super minions. So instead of staggering it out in the mid and around the Baron pit, Xiaogu send 5 members to the top, and suddenly IG are on the back foot once again.
Instead of wasting their time with Baron and possibly giving Invictus Gaming a 4-minute pause button if they get a steal, they're just going to use the pressure points of having both inhibitors down to apply more pressure onto that top side of the map. So I actually really like this decision making. There's no room for error here. There's no free moment to just breathe and relax for Invictus Gaming.
Yeah, already the super minions have made it onto 1 Nexus turret. You can see the next wave streaming in through the mid lane, the spear chunking out IG. And slowly but surely the turret falls. Righteous Glory comes out, stun, is going to find Kitties. Doinby looking for the flank on the side, but doesn't quite find it. All 3 inhibitors are down. The hook once again finds Doinby. He's been the primary target 3 fights in a row, but he's going to be just fine. Kitties punished for his transgressions. The cast comes out of Qiao while Zatai's in the back line. It's complete chaos as everyone is trying to focus their important targets. A huge Emperor's Divide is completely ineffective as Xiaogu are cleaning this up. They haven't lost a single member. They ace perfectly.
Is that 4 aces in a row?
That's 4 aces in a row for Xiaogu. They get onto the Nexus itself, and they're going to split the series 1-1 with IG.
4 team fights, 4 aces, easy game. Xiaogu team fought excellently from behind. They came into this game, they make sure that Invictus Gaming couldn't get any sort of early lead, and then just oppressively clean house.
Yeah, you can see IG not looking very happy after that match. I mean, the immediate camera shot of TNT was great. It was like, oh, another day in the office. Whoops, I guess there's that.
I don't know, Doinby doesn't look too pleased either.
Yeah.
What, we won? I played Victor?
Yeah, I know. It was pretty impressive. But again, excellent play from Xiaogu, and my goodness. They had a battle plan for every second of the game, every 10 seconds in.
I don't know what's up with Rookie's upper lip here.
The fact that they executed that plan so perfectly to the T just really speaks to Xiaogu as a team. We always talk about them being a good team. I mean, clearly they're second, and we always ask, do they have a ceiling? But after seeing this, you got to wonder, how far can these guys go?
It was beautiful because it was a different game plan and not a different composition, but just a different style than we've seen from Xiaogu